Okay, let's start. That's okay. Okay, I'm here to present you the immersion and DLC range. Just a quick reminder of the range names of the product. So this kind of product, you have Octopus, Atlas, and Atlantis. So Octopus is our OCP range. That's very important to do the difference between Atlas and Octopus. Atlas is 21 inches wide, as at the same with Octopus, 21 inches wide, but this is the power distribution that is completely different. So don't make the mistake between Atlas and Octopus. I think it's easy to do the mistake, but that's completely different product. Because Atlas, you have PSU at the server level. That's what I show here in the power type. And Octopus, it's at rack level. So what I call rack level is that you have a power shelf connected to the bus bar, and the bus bar distributes the power to the servers. So that's the technical difference between these two type of product. Atlas and Atlantis are altogether what we call EIA. EIA is standards for servers, and that's the two different standards for the PSU as the server level design. Okay. In Octopus, we have air cooling, DLC, and 1P immersion cooling. So we don't do dual phase immersion cooling at Octopus at this moment. Why? Because we don't know any tank that can provide OCP at this moment for dual phase. But of course, in Atlas, we can do two-phase immersion cooling as well as one-phase immersion cooling. So Atlas and Atlantis are the range in two-series side that only do immersion cooling at this moment. Okay. Here, I just remember you I would say the main partner in terms of tech vendors that we, with the one we work the most, so Summer, Spiritas, Freud, Midas, and Baltimore Aircoil. Baltimore Aircoil, in fact, this is the Doug's tank for those who knows. So Baltimore Aircoil have the license to do the Doug's tanks and propose it to other customers. In immersion dual phase cooling, we mostly work with Liquid Stack and E3NV. We also worked with Marathon, but Marathon has his own tank, but it's not necessarily something that is designed to be done for other customers. Just some quick reminder about the main actor who bought us some immersion product in the past, so Marathon. And so this is more kind of logo you can share with your customer to say, yes, we sell in high volume to big brands. Of course, we have more customers than that in immersion, but this is the biggest. And it's always good to say, yes, we did that for Airbus, for CGG, CA, etc. Okay, so this is the naming room. So as the presentation, you can download it. I think it's preferable just to have a look. I will not go further on that. Here the same, because I will try to be a little bit quick, because practically 11. This is some highlight on how you could propose this kind of system in immersion, and one you need to highlight. So density, but the density is not so dense. In fact, in our new design, what we propose is not necessarily something that is very high density. Why? Because DLC can always do better than immersion. And also in immersion, finally, with this very hot chip that we have now, winning some density is not necessarily a big value now. Why? Because finally, the tank vendors, when they say you can have 100 kilowatts per tank, yes, you can have it. But you need to have a very cold water. So that means you need to cool the water, and it means a lot of energy to do that. And so finally, this density has no longer any efficiency in terms of power efficiency. Okay, and it's preferable to have a 3U platform that is easy to cool and can allow you to have some PCIe slot.
And the high GDP accelerator, what is high GDP?
So I mean 600 watts, something like that, around this corner. So
in 3U.
In 3U, yes. Yes. That's why, in fact, till now, we had just the maximum was 2U. into you, we experience some trouble, for example, with the 4090s, that is 450 watts. So we decide to go in 3U to have less problem in terms of cooling, and also it's preferable in terms of option. So if we want to do a MGX-like solution, for example, into you, it's not possible.
Like Big Brave.
And yes, like Big Brave. And finally, I will show you after, because we have some reference design when I put some server in the tank, and you will see, even if we imagine it will be possible to do into you, there is no sense to do it into you. So we'll show you.
So we did tested into you the RTX Pro 6000 with the standard heatsink, and it worked, but to you would have half of the tank empty.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
So you will see I have a tank architecture, a standard tank architecture. And you will see that with this 3U you can full fight the whole tank, and it's good.
And this is not SXM. You can't immerse SXM.
For the moment, we don't immerse SXM. Only PCIe version, yes. This is the same kind of highlight for DLC. So in DLC we can do a better density than immersion. Yes, in fact, it's quite easy to manage a very high TDP, so 600 and more. So 1 kilowatt chip will not be a problem in DLC. That's not the same in immersion. You will see that in Loic's presentation, you will see that we need to use force convection heatsink, for example, or also direct flow system in order to do that. So that means more development and more cost at the server level. In DLC, we don't have this problem. So that's why for very, very dense, so someone who really wants a very, very dense solution, DLC is better than immersion. In immersion, we are more looking into PUE. You have a better PUE, and also something that can be integrating everywhere. So if you want to have a DLC platform, you need to have a data center environment, for example. It's not the same for immersion. So it's easier, for example, someone who wants to renovate a building or that kind, it's easier to do it in immersion. So it's more, I would say, it's more environment friendly, etc. So this is the difference between DLC and immersion. And also clearly immersion have a better PUE. Also the other difference you will have, so once you have your tank and the liquid, if you change the generation of the server, just put your server and put the new one, you don't have to pay it again. In DLC, all the core plate you have, and sometimes also the rack itself, you have to change it. So that's why also in terms of, I would say, CapEx, when you change your generation of server, generally immersion is a little bit lower. Here it's a Porter presentation with the concurrency. The concurrence, I will just resume a little bit, but we are highly, because main of our products in DLC and immersion are GPU based. So we are highly dependent on NVIDIA. As Constantine said, is our best friend, but NVIDIA is our best friend, but also our best enemy. So that's the big problem in terms of supply. The concurrence is high because the same in immersion and DLC. Immersion is in front of DLC system and air system, and also in immersion we can't do SXM platform, so that means some customer will not be interested in immersion just because we don't do SXM. So it's very important to understand why we can do some workload, for example, for very large model in AI for training. For example, with PCIe version we can do it. So it's important to understand one, but that's great thing. Generally, this kind of customer, they are very, very big, and generally it's not our type of customer. Yeah, so I will let you. So the Pester presentation is, I will say, the constraint we have in politics. So I will just focus on the politics. What can be a problem for us is the US-China tensions can be very big. If there is a war or some other kind of risk with Taiwan. The supply chain can be a problem. That's the big thing. And also the law in the US. The restriction concerning the GPUs export from the US can be also a problem for us because you know the new idea of the Senate of the US to favorize the US customer. I think we will not have any issue to have the GPU, but it's just certainly it will cause us to have more paper to sign and more work for Corentin to be able to supply the GPU. So that's also something that we can take into account. That means maybe bigger lead time when we will have some GPU for NVIDIA. Of course, we have some other competitor from NVIDIA that are coming, like AMD or the Korean supplier, but to be honest, for the moment, it's very niche. It will become, I guess, more and more efficient and more used to the customer, but I don't expect that between 3 or 5 years that there will be a real competitor to NVIDIA.